Hey, it's Don, the auction professor. I thought since I had some business dealings going on today, I was meeting for a wholesale possible purchase for a large quantity of items. I thought I would go into some aspect on wholesale consignment and overall safety of your business. One thing that no other person on YouTube that I have ever seen talks about is a business owner policy, a BOP. I'm sure most people don't even know what a BOP is. It's an insurance policy that every business that is a professional business in the real world, away from eBay and reselling, uses in one form or another, whether it's an insurance indemnity or a clause or whatever the case may be. A business owner policy covers your business from liability, from theft, from destruction, from loss of wages due to climatic events, from weather issues, and the list of things that are included in a business owner's policy vary, but there's a lot that's included with it. A lot of your business is covered. If you're running out of your house, your homeowner's policy may not cover the business aspect of it at all. If you haven't checked into that, you really need to. A perfect example of that is, let's say the power was out because of we lived on the Gulf Coast. A hurricane came through. Power was out for 2 weeks where we lived. Literally, no power 2 weeks. If I was running this business for those 2 weeks, I would have been out of business. Other buyers are not going to understand. I wouldn't really even be able to contact them. I couldn't go anywhere because the nearest power source at this point after Hurricane Katrina from my location was over an hour away. I was still running a restaurant as a general manager at that point, and we ran the restaurant on generators that ran on gasoline. My company shipped those in from 2 states away. They shipped in gas in large quantities, so we were able to run the business at least. My restaurant was doing 10 times a week what I did in a week prior to that. It was just an awful experience. I had people literally we let stay in our restaurant. We gave away free food for weeks. Anyway, long story short, business owner's policy is what you need. I hear people all the time saying they're doing a new consignment business, they're doing a wholesale business out of their location. If, for say, you buy something from somebody wholesale-wise and there was a defect in that product, or a person is killed, injured, maimed, or anything from that product, and you sold that product, you could be held liable for that product. Just because the other person made it, you actually supplied it. You may not be the only one charged in a liable case, but you will get charged. If there is a death involved, a toy, or anything else that is involved in that. Anybody telling you, I don't worry about that, business owner's policy, what is that? I've watched all the major YouTubers here. The only one that I have seen personally that I feel actually has a business owner's policy is the Craigslist Hunter. He runs a very professional business. I do like his videos very much. Not trying to do a call out, just this is part of the reason why I've gotten into doing these. In my past experience, I used to give a business meeting at least twice a week to the staff and to my store managers. When I ran a region, it was an hour or two long, twice a week usually, and then I did other ones throughout. I kind of like doing that. I like talking, discussing the business that we were in, and I do like doing and discussing the business I am in now, which is running an online-only business. So that's part of why I do this. Not to call out again other YouTubers, no offense, that's how they do it, that's fine, but they are setting themselves up for very possible high failure. If you are sued, you're done. If you get sued and go to court and even have to front up the money for a lawyer, that could kill you. That would kill you in time and everything else. There's policies that will cover you too for medical issues. For me personally, I had literally an eBay reselling issue where I was injured. I crouched down a lot on my toes, all the pressure was on my toes. And one time, after doing it for months on end, years on end, I'm sitting down looking at boxes sitting on the ground under tables and garages and all. I ripped tendons and ligaments in my big toe in the bones just above that. I wore and literally was out of commission for quite some time. Luckily, we have a business with employees and wife and kids that can cover. I literally have just gotten over, after surgery, I wore a surgical shoe for almost 2 years. I kind of, part of it my fault for wearing it that long, part of it not because I was hesitant on the surgery, but anyway, without the insurance or coverage from policies that I do have, and if I was, let's say, the only person in the business would have been done, and I would have been broken out on the street. A business owner's policy is going to cover you from that. If you're bringing product to sell, like in a commission basis or consignment basis or anything like that, you are liable for that person's product. You took possession of it. Even if you sell or have them sign legal documents, those can still be challenged in court, depending on who wrote them, how they were written. There's a lot of issues with that. If you're not covering yourself with a business owner's policy, I am telling you, you are setting yourself up for potential fail. Especially if you're selling new items, private label items, you are putting your name on someone else's item that is made. You are not indemnified from actually a claim against you for that. I see that all the time, that people say that. I have personally had issues with other vendors that they could have been sued for it. I actually, as a child, when I was 14 or 15, before I was able to legally work for somebody, I used to do illustrations of Disney artwork. I did a few. I went to the movie collectible shows they had at the malls, and I ran into a gentleman, and I showed him one of mine, and he ended up saying, wow, can you do a bunch of these? I did 10. Literally, I was 14 or 15. I did 10 Disney illustrations of their artwork. Didn't know anything about it. I wasn't even an adult at this time. And he was selling them. I got $20 a pop. I was like, wow, that's huge money back then. And he did a bunch of them. They were fancy, nice, very, very well done illustrations of Disney characters with the backgrounds. And we had done this business for quite some time. He bought up to 50 at a time sometimes over a long period of time. Well, a couple weeks that took me to do 50 after school. And I was getting a lot of money doing these. I was 14 again. I couldn't get a job. He actually got confronted at a major show in Atlanta when he was showing and selling these works for copyright infringement. He got a cease and desist letter. A lawyer with a police officer showed up at the location and confiscated my paintings for this. It was a big issue for him. I got to keep the money, but it wasn't my fault, and still was friends. A couple years later, actually, I ended up working for him. He was an exhibitioner in the city, and he actually ran movie theaters. So I actually ended up working at him at a movie theater in this town. So again, business owner's policy. You got to have one. Even if you're moderately doing good business, $5,000, $6,000 a month, and that's all you're doing, though. If you have no other business or job, you're risking it. If you're working for somebody else, it's part-time. I wouldn't go ahead and say, let's do it. It's a couple $100s a month is all it costs you, literally. When I first started out, I think we got $150,000 of inventory coverage, which actually covered inventory and our computers, our lighting, our storage racks and the containers and tubs, and we paid around $100 a month for that. Obviously now we're way higher than that. We've got more than $500,000 in inventory just on one of our accounts up right this minute. So obviously we pay a lot more than that now, but for what we're bringing in and the risk that we would have if we lose from a lawsuit, it's well worth the expense. You have car insurance for a reason. Get business insurance for the very same reason. It's literally going to protect you from all the issues that the other folks aren't worried about or discussing. It should be a wake-up call to some people once some of this is brought up. But again, this is how I cover my business. I ran it professionally. I ran a business as a regional basis, which covered multiple stores and multiple liabilities. Had to go to court for, people said items were in their food. People said, they tripped outside because of ice and it wasn't properly done. Dust in their food and they got sick. The list of issues can go on and on. Let's say you have somebody come to your house to pick something up and they get hurt in your driveway. You're liable for that as well, too. There are so many reasons you can get sued in these days. You can get sued for feedback left, and they can say it was slanderous. It doesn't mean it was, but they can sue you for it. It can appear in court. If you have a policy that covers that, you are covered. I just can't stress it enough. Just type in business lawsuits. That's all you need to do to look into this. I'm not trying to scare anybody or make you overly worry, but this is something to really consider when you're doing major business. With us, we do a ton of business. I've got tons of risks out there, so we do run business owner policies. I have several policies that cover us. And again, we're running a business partially out of our house and partially out of another building that is somewhere else besides here, so we have to cover all aspects. If you are renting a building from someone else, you may not be covered if your property damages that building. That could sink you there too. You could be charged or have fees levied against you for some issues. So, just because the company that you rent from, your business facility, is covered for some areas, the second someone walks into your building to deliver goods could slip, fall, and then it could be your fault as well. So, again, please think about that. Take it seriously. Understand that those are serious, honest, and real-time risks that happen to businesses every single day of the week. That's about it on business owner policies. I don't really want to recommend somebody specific because what works for me may not work for you. I can tell you, though, that a resale business, you're going to have to make a ton of calls. It took me probably a week of calling pretty much, not every single day and every single minute, but in my free time, a few minutes here, a few minutes there, I've got 5-6 hours at least invested in talking to people, trying to figure out who takes and covers businesses such as this. Most do not do that. So most do offer business owners policies, but not for the business that we run or that most of you would probably be running. But there are some that do it. I have no authority to recommend or doing anything else, and I wouldn't want to do that to have any bad situations. But if somebody is interested in knowing, I may, privately discuss who we have. We've had the same policy for, almost 4 years now, so it has been good to us. We have not had issues. We have not had weird raises in our fees or anything else. The only fee increases we have been based on the amount of coverage that we keep increasing it to almost yearly now. So that's about it on that. Thanks for watching. Please hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and enjoy. Have a good day.